I'm a 23-year-old grown ass job having bill paying adult, and to be 100% with you, man, like I like watching some SpongeBob sometimes, dude. It's fucking awesome, man. Early SpongeBob, the peak, it was great. I love fucking Sponge. I hold on. What time is it? It's like almost 5 in the morning. I fucking love SpongeBob. I don't love fucking SpongeBob. I never had sex with SpongeBob. I don't plan on it. You know what I'm trying to say. I go back and I watch it sometimes just to, just to like, dig up some quotes because it's funny as fuck. That or I just, just nostalgia watch that shit. And sometimes I check in every now and again to see if like any of the new SpongeBob is worth watching. A lot of it's just slop now. Like a lot of the shows that are on like children's TV now. Like I remember when TV was dying hardcore. Everybody had a fucking smartphone, or everybody was getting a smartphone, and everybody was on YouTube and shit, like consuming that stuff instead of like just watching TV. And so and around that time too, there were a lot of mid fucking shows coming out, like fucking like I think Sanjay and Craig was pretty mid. I think like I'm talking Nickelodeon in specific, like in this instance. But like a lot of shows were mid. There's a show called Breadwinners, which was just fucking ass. I didn't really like Henry Danger too much. It wasn't a bad show, I don't think all the way, but it was just kind of it was very mid for a Dan Schneider production. Um, there's just all kinds of stuff that's just you know it's not worth watching as much as it used to be. You had all kinds of crazy, really good shows. But anyways, no. So I was looking on the Nickelodeon YouTube channel, dug around, saw some shit. Was watching different clips, different stuff from different whatevers, and I ran into this video at some point. This was a good while ago, but there was this video of a drag queen talk like the video was for kids basically, and there was a drag queen talking about. I watched some of the video too, and it's just like, bruh, don't teach the kids about that stuff specifically, man. Here's the thing, man. I'm Gen Z, man. I did not need a drag queen coming into my classroom, or I did not even know what a drag queen was. I didn't even know. The first time I even heard about it was B movie, but that was different. Like that was a whole different thing. But besides that, we didn't need any of this like absurdity to be taught to respect one another, man. Like a million percent of the way. Like it's just ridiculous that like how stupid and how narrow-minded do people think people are? Of course, you're gonna have a lot of people that aren't worth a spit, that are just like fucking, they put too much of their nose in other people's shit, even though they don't completely understand the whole grasp of, what I mean. They don't understand that most people are just regular people living, and like like trans people are not freaks. Usually there's freaks that happen to be trans, same with any group of people, right? Like I don't want some fucking Confederate flag waving fucking MAGA lunatic like that's full blown hell bent on fucking like being a douchebag to represent all white people. You don't want some gooned out fucking shiesty wearing fucking criminal to represent black people. You don't want fucking you don't want the worst of your community representing your entire community. You know what I mean? Most people, and that's what a lot of people fail to understand, especially just internet brain motherfuckers. People fail to understand most people are just regular motherfuckers that aren't going around thinking about that shit all the time. And because of how much of it is out there, I think that it's a part of the psyop to radicalize motherfuckers because they see so much fucking volatile shit from people, or just they see a lot of ignorant motherfuckers because the stupidest are the loudest. like it's just all put out there to actually give the problems or to make the problems worse, that as far as public opinion, whatever. I don't even know. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here. But growing up, I was always taught, man. I was always said to get what you get, don't throw a fit, treat people how you want to be treated. You know what I mean? What goes around comes around, man. And of course, not everybody gets the memo, but then again, it just takes exposure. But what kind of exposure, like, are you going to get when you just have a bunch of people like fucking pointing in your face and saying you're a bad person for fucking whatever? You don't have anybody trying to change anybody's minds or anything like that. You just have a bunch of fucking freaks that are loud about whatever. And even if their heart's in the right place, sometimes, usually it's fucking, like there's just better ways of handling that shit. As I said, man, I respect everybody, but I mean, if you give me individually a reason to not respect you, I won't respect you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like, no matter who you are, but because of who you are in specific, like, unless you're like some kind of fucking, like, minor attracted person, then, or like some fucking, like, weirdo, uh, I don't know, man. I lost some steam. But it just really rubbed me the wrong way, man. Because kids don't need to be learning about that shit. Kids don't need to be learning about like fucking like sexuality and shit like that. I mean, if like kids are gonna be goofy and kids are going to, I mean, sexuality is a part of human nature and stuff, and a lot of the time they'll, get into some shit on their own a little bit, But besides that, like you can't just be fucking plastering that around to such a detailed extent when they don't even know who they are yet. You can't do that, man. Like when I was a kid, I wore my mom's fucking. I put on one of my mom's outfits, like full blown, like just fucking baggy ass everything, because my mom was fat and I was a kid. So it's like I was just wearing oversized woman clothes, but I didn't think I was. I was just being a dumbass, goofy little kid, you know. And I remember my little cousin, Gordo. Yeah, we call him Gordo because he has a gut because he's a kid. He was not even 5. He was wearing girl sunglasses and shit and a pink little coat. But that shit was just a kid being a goofy ass kid. You see a little boy putting on lipstick and shit, like just being a goofy kid without if you see that in an average family, that's not even a sign of weirdness. As I said, it's a kid being a goofy ass kid. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if they find out at an age of reason when they comprehend the stuff, then you know what I'm saying? Then yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if I had a son, and he was wearing fucking lipstick, I'm not going to fucking bring him into all these adult politics of whatever. The best thing you can do is give him advice and not even dig too deep into it. And don't make him question it. Just be like, hey man, just respect everybody for who they are, man. Unless they treat you wrong, you treat them with respect. Because at the end of the day, we are all one. We all share the same sun, moon, and stars. Treat people how you want to be treated, whatever. But don't get into all this. You don't need. Why is it that a man dressed as a woman? Like, here's the thing, man. I'm friends with a couple of drag queens 1,000,000% of the way, and we were talking about it too at some point as well. Primarily because I have hick vibes, and some people didn't expect me to be like a forward thinking person. But just based on, the cover of the book. But, generally, I mean, they had common sense about that shit too. They're like, no, I would not want to be around a kid like this, dude. Like, to teach them about fucking, like I remember one drag queen I was hanging out in specific, I forgot their name, or their stage name, whatever. But it's like inviting a hooker into the classroom, like, like, I guess in the middle of doing her job at like, I'm trying to remember what specifically they said. I'm not sure if this particular drag queen. I don't remember what they wanted to go by. I remember that I was really drunk, and we had like a conversation about that too. Nicest human being I've ever met, but it'd be like bringing a hooker in. to talk, like while on the job, to talk about like um, respecting someone's whatever. I'm trying to remember, like walk of life, or I don't remember. This was a while ago, but I digress, man. We need to move forward. We need to be a forward-thinking people. We need to touch grass and be in the moment and be in real life instead of being fucking indoctrinated and brainwashed by all these fucking morons on the internet, man. That's what I try to do, and it scares me for younger people because, being raised to use this technology and having, a lot of older people can't really keep up too much. It's just, you know what I mean? There's too much happening. Too much happening to be able to stay on top of while still, like, being an individual, man. You're being stretched thin as an adult. You have, not like on top of taking care of yourself, you're taking care of like a kid, at least one. And you're working. There's only so much you can really expand, like your patience and attention to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know how much it would take. I don't have a kid, as far as I know, but you know what I mean? I don't know, man. One thing I want to yap about before I just shut it down too. I'm just not a fan of the fucking, like, a lot of Americans too, like, do have a problem with victimizing themselves and their own people based on historical errors, I'd say. I say errors, but like, no one here who's like a normal person worth a spit fucking thinks that slavery was fine. You know what I mean? Like, just in general, like, I don't even understand what the need is for the victimization and having to, like, bring up, like, either when the fucking Europeans conquered America, took it from the natives. Like, I don't know why people are still hung up about this shit. It was all over, like, the current immigration situation, which it doesn't even apply. You know what I mean? It doesn't apply. People, I don't really think there's correlation between, the open border situation and how people hundreds of years ago had acquired this land. Same as like a lot of other people. You know what I mean? As other civilizations, like so many civilizations now were taken from other people, and I don't understand why now this holds everybody involved. Anybody and everybody involved is dead. Nothing left of them, maybe a tiny bit of bone, but they're all dead. I don't understand why people always bring up the fucking, like, what can we do? Give it back? Do you really want to give America back to the natives right now? You know what I'm saying? Like why would you bring that stuff up during like this weird, like, as I said, no correlation whatsoever. You could feel however you want to feel about it, but at the end of the day, man, you're not like a fucking righteous, you know what I mean? You're not like necessarily standing up for the right thing. You wouldn't even know if you're standing up for the right thing by calling out dead Europeans. I mean, because we don't really know, we weren't there for that, you know what I mean? We're going based on what we were told by other people who most likely are full of shit. You know what I mean? Like, our government had been lying to us forever. The people who win write the history books. So the people who win want us to know certain things, and sometimes, given the manufactured division, maybe they put out a lot of other shit that, about how supposedly all that stuff went down. You know what I mean? And as far as like slavery, I mean, everybody who owned slaves is dead, and a lot of slaves are dead, and slavery is still happening. The same place where the Europeans got the slaves from to begin with, those guys are still selling slaves. Why are folks still hung up about like the only people that really aren't doing too much complaining as far as how their ancestors were treated in this country, where the Japanese, the Vietnamese, Chinese, Irish, like, dude, fucking, like, there was some serious eugenics at play in the early days. If your head was shaped a certain way, if your eyes were colored a certain way, if your hair grew a certain way, if you were this tall, this short naturally, if your ass looked a certain way, dude, they based your ruling or your worth in society based on stupid shit like that. And over time, I believe it did become a proximity to whiteness on top of, like, but to a certain point. Like, generally speaking, most people are treated decently, no matter what your shit is, as long as you have decorum, at least like in a regular place. You know what I mean? That's not to say that there aren't things in the system that make it harder on certain people, because it still does very well exist. But it just felt like for a while we were making progress until, like, the early to mid, like, 2010s. Like, it was going up and then just quickly drop back down, and everyone's at war with each other over some stupid shit. Everyone is always, like, generalizing shit now. You know, it's very ridiculous. Like, it's just weird to, like, anything. I don't know. And it's so weird to see, like, as I said, it's not perfect by all means. There's still people struggling hard as fuck with a lot of things, but we do need to acknowledge too, it was getting better if it's not, and we got to be the change we want to see, instead of, like, fighting amongst, like, regular common people. You gotta fucking rage against the fucking machine that's brainwashing people and manufacturing all these disadvantages to happen in the first place, without acting like fucking animals, no matter who we are in question. You know what I mean? I don't know. I was gonna go into a whole rant into the rant, um, and get into a bunch of nuances about whatever, but I don't know. It's just whenever I see a bunch of shit, I just internet brain shit. It fucking weirds me out. It's just weird to see that. Like, I mean, I can understand, like, current present day, like, things that happen, but it gets to a point. You know what I mean? It gets to a point where you can't, like, I see a bunch of situations that are present, but a lot of people lump it into the system in general, or, like, they generalize. They take, like, whatever bits and pieces and generalize. Like, if you want to hold a judge accountable for some shit, don't just say it's the entire system. Hold that judge accountable, man. You know what I mean? If you want to hold whatever accountable for putting this, that, and the third in place, do whatever you can to do that, instead of, like, having a think piece that's not going to make a difference. People are going to forget whatever comment you leave, like, next week. People aren't even doing shit. They're just talking. Any injustice you see, man, whatever. But then, I don't know. I don't even know, man. I'm not frosty right now. I might need to follow up. I might need to revise. But it's like 5 a.m. I shall go to bed.